Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if this is your first time watching us. We bring you Disney and all things fun from a disability perspective. Today we're going to be talking to you about Disneyland's recent changes to the Haunted Mansion, and specifically the changes that they've made to increase disability accessibility. We're going to give you our thoughts and tell you whether we thought that they nailed it or maybe missed the mark. The first thing that you're going to notice when walking up to the Haunted Mansion is that they have redone the queue. And they've eliminated the stairs, so then that way people like Ben and I who use wheelchairs or ECVs can actually go through the regular queue and kind of get the full experience of walking through the graveyard outside.
Yep.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought that it was really nice to be able to see.
It wasn't as bad as I originally thought it was going to be.
What did you think was going to be bad about it?
Just the length, but actually, it went pretty quick.
Yep. Day we went, it was very fast. It was a very light day. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt it's going to always be like that, but at least now there's something to look at.
Yeah.
And we get to have that interactive part rather than going off to the side and just waiting, by the side of the house and not being able to really look at any of the interactive things.
Yes.
You get to read the tombstones and stuff.
You get to read exactly that.
So I like that.
Yeah.
So next you walk into the Haunted Mansion and you go into the elevator. That's pretty much standard. That hasn't changed. But one thing that we were hoping was going to change was after you leave the elevator, there is the portrait hallway, the changing portraits. And we actually haven't been on the Haunted Mansion in a while because of this change that they made several years back, where it used to be that people with disabilities had a dedicated walkway in the picture hallway on the left-hand side where it was roped off, and people in wheelchairs or other disabilities could go down there and not be crowded by other park guests. And I like that because it allowed me to walk into the queue. I could leave my scooter outside, so that wasn't so cumbersome, and then I didn't feel like I was going to get knocked around by other park guests in the dark. But when they changed it, I know for myself, I didn't feel safe.
I didn't mind the change because when you're on that left side, you don't know if people are coming north, south. If you're going one way, people are coming the other direction. You don't see them until how it kind of turns.
Yeah.
So you come around and you gotta wait.
That is true, because one thing that they did do when they had that dedicated walkway was for people with disabilities. It was you entered onto the ride walking down that dedicated walkway on the left, and people with disabilities were coming off of the ride back up the elevator and walking down. So it was cross traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that, that it was some traffic, but still I felt safer over there just because walking onto the ride, I felt like I was getting knocked around in the dark. That's why we didn't really go on it so much after they made that change and got rid of that hallway or that walkway, is because for me I didn't feel safe. So I was really hoping that was going to change now that they've changed the exit procedure for people with disabilities. But it doesn't seem like that changed. So they did have us stay to the left. So that was nice that we, at least weren't told to go down the middle of the hallway with everybody else. We did stay to the left, but not where it is roped off. That still is empty.
You're still with everybody else.
Yeah, but you're off to the left.
You're slightly to the left, and once you get to a certain point, there's a cast member there. We'll pull the rope.
Yep.
And bring you into the little waiting area.
Yep. You go into basically to the front of the queue there, because there is a place to park wheelchairs and scooters. So they let you in through the rope. And I parked my scooter off to the side, and we waited for the next dune buggy there. Theoretically, we should have been waiting for the disabled accessible dune buggy. It's not fully accessible where you can stay in your wheelchair, but It's wider.
Yeah, it's cut out so you can slide on a lot easier, which for me is a lot easier. For you, I'm sure.
It is, because I need more foot room.
Yeah, so it's not as enclosed.
So. Yeah, but unfortunately they didn't have us wait for that, so.
No, they missed it.
Yeah.
They said they missed it, and so they gave us, the next open one, which doesn't really work for me.
They missed it, and then they didn't want us to wait,
which was nice.
But they didn't give us the option, really.
Yeah,
They kind of just.
we would have waited.
Yeah.
It would have been 5 minutes.
So that is a tip if you didn't know about it. if you need the extra foot room, ask for that accessible vehicle. Once you're on the dune buggy, pretty much everything is the same. Going through the ride itself is, there's no disability related changes.
No.
There was the change to the bride.
She's
And
a little two-dimensional.
yeah, we're not a fan of the change.
No.
It's very flat, very odd.
Nice and bright though. I like how much they've brightened up a lot of the scenes,
Yes,
but the bride,
it's very flat.
no,
That was a mess.
doesn't work for me.
Okay, so now at the end of the ride, so typically most guests will get off on the moving platform, and where the bride is saying hurry back and all that. So if you have a disability, that you stay on the ride and you go basically backstage a little bit.
A little bit. It's dark. It's just a little hallway.
You don't really see anything, but you get to go backstage.
And then come back to the front of the queue.
Yep. And that hasn't changed. I thought that might change, but that hasn't changed. So we still go back there and exit at the front and pick up your wheelchair ACV there. And this is where the big change happened as far as exiting. We go down a little hallway,
Yes.
and I love that it was themed.
It's very well themed.
It had, the thunder, had
Had the
pictures, the lightning, thunder, eerie music.
Yep.
And so you're going down this hallway, and then there's an elevator at the end of the hallway.
Yep.
And
Well, before you go there,
yes,
the pictures I noticed they have a miss there. They could have done the changing portraits like they do with the hallway. And offhand Disney mentioned it, and I agree with them.
it's true. I don't understand why they didn't do. I mean, it's good that they have something, but it isn't the same as the changing portraits.
Right, it's a miss.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah. Now, with that turn to where the elevator is, how is that for you? Because I know you got a big scooter.
It's a tight turn, but it's not as bad as some of the queues and navigating the stanchions in the queues. So it wasn't that bad, but it could have been better.
Because your scooter's longer than most people's, because you got
Because I
that
have the
giant
trunk on
trunk.
the back. Yeah, it wasn't horrible. Like navigating the twists and turns in some of the queues.
Okay.
Oh, and I know you told me when we were exiting about the bells in the queue,
Yes, the bells.
in the exit.
Yeah, they're for the staff, for the the maids and butlers and whatnot. Every time the bell would ring, that's for a different room where whoever it is wants you that's the room they're in.
That's a really cool detail to put in there.
Yeah.
Once you exit the elevator, basically then there's just a door right there to exit.
And they missed the mark with that because it's a handle that you have to turn, and I know a lot of people in wheelchairs don't have the grip strength or are able to turn the handle. What they could have done was put a push button, or even one of the breaker bars. Push the bar and open the door.
Yep.
But a automatic door would have been great.
Yeah, even if it's not about push strength, like somebody like me, if I was just by myself, it would be difficult to reach
It's too far
over
away.
my scooter. It's too far away. Like, so the push button is very good for accessibility. I agree, they should have done that.
Yeah. Other than that, they did a really good job on it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's my opinion.
Overall, I agree though. The changes were great as far as the accessibility.
Yeah. Some people don't like it, but they're entitled.
Yeah, I think that it was good that they actually included theming.
Yeah. Theming. That's one thing that Disney does well is theming. So.
Yeah. The worst change I think that you agree is just the bride,
Yeah.
which doesn't have to do with accessibility, but it was just a bad change to the ride.
Yep.
So those are our thoughts on the changes that Disney has made to the Haunted Mansion and accessibility. Drop a comment to leave us your thoughts. Let us know if you agree, whether you like the changes. What do you think about the new bride? Any thought that you have on the changes to the Haunted Mansion, let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want more content giving you tips about Disneyland and other fun activities related to disability, accessibility, please give us a subscribe, and remember,
Adventure is out there.